Well, hello, everybody.
The man, the legend.
Sorry. This is the vlog of many things, and I'm on Eric's channel. I guess I took it over for tonight.
Yeah.
That's Eric, Tom, how you guys doing?
Yeah. Good. I think the last time I was on Eric's channel was Gamers Health. Tammy and I were on there.
Yeah, I haven't been on here in a while either.
Way back.
Well, listen, I'm hosting, but this is available, I believe, on everybody's channel.
Yeah.
Right?
I've already yeah.
So I'm just the host with the most tonight because normally I would have Glenn, but Glenn is in New York, but he's not with me. He's out in Long Island, and he's running games. So I was like, all right, Thursday wasn't working for the vlog and many things. Why don't we just shift it over to Friday? We had the open slot. We had the bandwidth, and and by the way, folks, just as a side note, I'll repeat this at the end. Gamers Health is being moved to Sunday night because Rach and I will be out on Long Island gaming with Glenn and others and a nice barbecue.
Oh, you're going to have a chilly day on Sunday if you guys have any weather like we do.
Well, Saturday's not going to be too bad. I think Saturday's going to be low 70s, but Sunday I think is going to be cold. But Sunday we're going to do Gamers Health Sunday night, but tomorrow night, no Gamers Health.
Okay,
Eric, you have to teach me how to do that function. So I don't have to regularly Thursday night be chasing all the comments.
Once I figured this out, and I was able to do a live stream last night with that function, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can do a solo live. I don't need a second hand, a second host, and I can actually address the live stream as it was popping up on the screen. It's awesome. It is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Restream. Thank you, StreamYard, for bending me over, taking your fist and shoving it where it didn't belong when you more than doubled your price, because you taught me to find something that was better and less expensive.
Oh, I'll tell you, now that I'm learning Restream, Restream versus StreamYard, Restream went by a mile.
Oh my God.
By the way, gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Yeah.
Flint, Googly, Terry R, Thyatis. Just real quick, little housekeeping here. Thyatis, I got your RPG. I'm looking at it. I'll have a opinion on it by the end of the weekend. So thank you.
Cool.
And then, okay. Yep, Rescream, we scream.
We all scream for Restream.
So, gentlemen, tonight.
Yes.
What shall we talk about? There's so much.
Oh, I don't. Oh, my cat just took a nice foot. Thank you, girl. I don't know. There literally is so much.
Venger for president, maybe?
What's that?
I said Venger for president, maybe?
Oh, I already got my Cthulhu for president shirt, so I don't need to do that.
That's what you do. You want to route out the bullshit in this country. Just like Venger Satanis in the White House, okay?
Come on, that would be fun. And the news media would crucify him.
Honestly, the mainstream media would be going, we could have had Trump.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, though? The conservative media would be like, even the liberal media would be like, we could have been lucky and got Trump.
Can we get Trump back here?
Yeah.
It's like, did we jump the shark? And by the way, we're kidding on Wenger. I actually really like V. I not only is he a skilled and talented individual when it comes to his creations, he's very personable. So but
and I'll stand up for him. And one thing also is he is hell of talented game designer.
Yeah.
He's
great to talk to, and I think he is one hell of a promoter. He knows how to promote. He knows how to get people talking about his product, and not necessarily positive. He does the Trump thing where, it's like when Trump was running and all they could talk about Trump. He just does stuff that he's just got that magic touch, and he's a very intelligent guy. It's just his usual content's not for me personally, but I think he's very talented.
That's a really good segue, though.
Sure.
into what we were talking about right before this video started, and that's politics and gaming. You know, and I guess I'll start up the way I brought it up.
Sure.
Is a post by RPG Pundit was shared with me, and I went to it, and it was basically a link to a video RPG Pundit did, and basically the video. I watched the entire thing, so I'm not talking up my ass here. I mean, I sat there watching the entire thing.
I usually tap out. There are times he did some great videos, but usually I have to tap out sometime around when the pipe gets refilled. You know,
well, with me, I did it for a reason. When I'm going to talk about something on the vlog of many things, I want to make sure that I'm not running my mouth about something I don't know I'm talking about.
Right.
So basically, what he did in this video is there is a website that was shared called Gamers for Harris. And when you go to it, it is a support website for Kamala Harris, excuse me. Now, I think we all know Kamala Harris is the anti-Trump, in this election, for those of you who are living under a rock or just got back from the Antarctica, So basically, the problem I have with this is number one, in his video, he made several statements that were blatantly false. Like he said that you're required to sign a loyalty oath when you go to Gamers for Harris. Then I went to Gamers for Harris, and I don't see a loyalty oath. But what I did see was after I went to his Facebook page and saw the link he shared, what people meant by the 400 or so creators and people with some fairly well-known game creators.
Oh, I'm
in
sure.
This list. There's 400 or so as of the other day. Now, the problem I have with this is everybody's burning WotC because WotC's woke. They're using terms like WotC's woke, WotC's political, WotC is letting politics be interjected into D&D, and damn it, that's wrong. And I went to RPG Pundit's YouTube, and I scrolled down and started counting how many videos that he's done that I can see. Dozens. Knocking this. Literally dozens of videos attacking WotC. Now, my point is this. Okay, everybody knows I have Wizard Tower Games here. No, I did not sign up on this website. It was sent to me also. Now, why wouldn't I sign up for a pro-Trump or a pro-Harris website? Very simply, because as a game publishing company, it's not my business to say this candidate's my candidate. What my business should be is to respect all gamers, and by respecting all gamers, I stay apolitical. I don't get into the politics.
Right.
But the problem here is this with me is so people like RPG Pundit and many others are screaming how Wizards of the Coast are woke, they bring politics into gaming, etc., and then they do the same damn thing. Because when you go to his Facebook page and you see his post and you start seeing the comments underneath there, I mean, there's comments underneath there that are way inappropriate. Like people going, glad, at least I have a list now. Once Trump gets in office, we finally have a list of targets. One person said that. And people are going, at least I have a list to boycott. I don't have a, list to not, purchase games from. And what's going on here is, and then I'll shut my yapper, is you are decrying Wizards of the Coast for being political and bringing politics into gaming. And then you won't shut your mouth because you got to keep bringing politics into gaming. And they do it in a more nasty way than Wizards of the Coast is. Really?
Well, Wizards of the Coast has done nothing but screw up for the past couple of years. So they're a good whipping post to flog. And it's good for views. Let's flog Wizards of the Coast. I get that. But I grew up in a household where one parent was a Democrat and one parent was a Republican. And after Mom died, I asked Dad, I says, Dad, how did the two of you make it work? And my father, and he only said this because Mom was dead. She couldn't come back at him for it. He goes, your mother just knew enough not to open her mouth. And that's not the truth of it, but that was Dad being funny at the time. And I laughed. I says, yeah, I'm not going to get a straight answer out of him. But they didn't discuss politics. Okay, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, there were no politics at the table. It was family, and everybody knew. Dad went one way, Mom went the other. Dad would watch Jay Leno, Mom would watch Letterman. It was they had their differences, and they just didn't. And I, in gaming, I can sit at a gaming table. God help me, I could probably game with Venger Satanis. Maybe not as Chalt, but I could probably sit at a table and game with Venger Satanis. I would absolutely love that. I think the guy's brilliant. Do I agree with everything he says? Do I like everything he says? No. Okay, we're not going to get into that. We're there to game. You're here to game. Go ahead.
No, like my parents, same way. One was Republican, one's Republican, one's a Democrat. However, they registered to vote shortly after, for parties shortly after they got married, and their decision was one of us should be a Democrat, one of us should be a Republican, so we can always get perspectives, especially when mail was how you got all this stuff back then, from both parties. And that's what they did. And when I got old enough to vote, the first thing that I was told is, doesn't matter what party you decide to join, don't ever simply vote a party line. Always know, especially for local politics, always know if your local politician is somebody who isn't what your registered party is, but they're doing well for you, and they're doing well for their district, or they're doing well, for, whether, depending on how local it is, in your city council, it doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. They're doing well. You keep them in. It's, when my issue with politics has, especially when it comes to gaming, has always been, it doesn't belong at the gaming table. Like it does, like religious talk shouldn't be done at family gatherings, especially when you have more than one religion in an extended family. You kind of keep that stuff away. Politics is the same thing. We all have political opinions. All right. Everybody believes that their political opinion is the right one. Okay. It's the same thing with the religion. We all believe that the way we interpret what God intends is the right way, and everybody else is wrong. The best you can do is not open your mouth up and prove how wrong you are. That's my basic opinion on that.
Yes.
Wasn't that a Mark Twain quote?
Probably.
Scott Mulder asked, "Is there a new Venger news since he's in discussion?" Scott, no, there's not new Venger news. We kind of were talking about Venger because Venger is so out there with his politics.
Right.
And he's very he's unabashed.
I want to make sure. I just want to. I poke at Venger freely, but honestly, I think the guy is brilliant. I think I love talking with him. We've had several conversations. I really enjoy talking with the guy. He's a great conversation.
I'm not pandering to him either. I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy. I just don't like his Twitter page.
Well, I don't like his focus on politics.
Yeah, because that's what his Twitter page is what I mean.
Right. So, listen, I have a presence on Facebook. It's apolitical. I have a presence on Twitter. It is, or X. It's apolitical. Obviously, I have political thoughts, and obviously, I vote in elections. But who I vote for not only isn't anybody else's business, but you probably don't even give a shit. Okay? In the end of it, because it's not going to, who I vote for is not going to change your mind. All right. The whole wonderful thing about politics is it's a very individual thing that gets discussed often on these very large communities on Facebook and elsewhere. But the reality is you're not changing people's minds. You're not going to change the mind of somebody because, I don't know, a couple of hundred game designers join Gamers for Harris.
Well,
You're not.
and Eric, I'll even do the knock on Gamers for Harris. The problem that I have with the website is is you know, it's one thing to say sign this petition. Okay, you support Harris.
Right.
But to make a list of people, number one, especially in today's climate politically,
Yes.
with the way people are, and if you do not believe me, I suggest you go to TikTok, because there is where you really see these TikTokers saying things like, the good thing about a Harris sign in a yard is we know who to drag out and execute in the streets. That's a real big trending thing right now. And then also you see stuff negative to Trump like that.
Right.
So
Sure.
by putting yourself, and this is as somebody who got a very threatening email, it's not funny having a target on your back.
No.
And
if I have a political opinion, I don't share it. But if I had a neighbor that had a different sign from the one that I would be inclined to put up on my property, and somebody said, all right, so we know who to drag out and lynch or whatever, I would locate a Second Amendment and I would go defend my neighbor who has a different opinion of me.
Of course you would.
I would, because they're my neighbor. Except for one neighbor he's probably well able to defend himself because we call him
probably more 2A than you. But and here's the thing. All right, we're gonna this whole Gamers for Harris thing. Back in 2016, there was the Orange List, okay, and the Orange List was put together because they wanted to identify companies, creatives that were right-wing or conservative, therefore the Orange List, people to boycott. Well, just like in 2020, now we're 2016, now we're in 2024, and before they were actively making a list. Well, now I'm going to, I won't insult anybody who's putting together this list, but you're just giving a list to the other side to go through and boycott. And listen, if you're in this for a business, if you're in this to make money, putting yourself on a list or being put on a list doesn't make anybody more likely to shop with you, but it does make people more likely to deal with you later, because anybody who was already voting like you was already thinking about spending money out with you, was going to spend it anyway. But now you've told the other side that you don't want their money because you're taking this. Again, I don't want to know your politics. I don't want to know your sexuality. At work, when people would discuss their sexual conquest, I'd like, listen, I don't need to know. I don't want to know. You're not impressing me by talking about it, and it doesn't belong in this office. All right? Talking about who you're going to vote for or who I should vote for doesn't belong in gaming. But there are people, I'm going to call them extremists, on the left and on the right, who believe that gaming is the battleground for culture on a larger level, and that if you don't pick a side, then you're on the other side. Well, you know what? I got news for people that are on these extremes. The vast majority of us don't give a flying fig Newton. I sent to myself about your culture wars. We don't want to be a part of it. We're not going to participate in it.
Well, see, and you're also giving two points. You made the question about people being put on a list affect the business economically. And when you go to RPG Pundit's Facebook post, what do the majority of those posts say? Glad I have a list of who not to do business with.
Of course.
But also, I don't know. I just think that this mentality these days, especially these people who bring the politics in, they also give those who support OSR related games a negative look.
Oh, definitely.
Because it makes all of us, and we had this in another video many videos ago, when we were talking about the trans community, and someone said, "Oh, 4 older white cis men," and it's like, listen, just because I'm 56 years old and white, and I don't have hair in my head, does not make me a negative aspect in gaming.
Right.
You know, and that's the problem when you have a group of people bringing the politics in such a toxic way into gaming. They don't realize the ripple effect that it has.
Right.
It's tribalism. They're attempting to be tribal and to separate people. And gaming is really about us coming together. And, it doesn't matter if one guy at the table is gay and we're having fun. It's the army.
Yeah.
The army has a saying: if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid.
Yep.
Look, and I think the same thing applies to gaming. That if we're having fun, then who cares?
Right.
Honestly.
Well, earlier today, a guy made a post in the D&D group that mentioned, why do people have to have characters who have relationships in games? It has no place in gaming. And the post I made, and a lot of people were making, was, what does it matter? I mean, if 2-player characters want to say husband, wife, okay, be a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to be. Because as a DM, I look at that and I literally take a file and I start sharpening my DM clause, because now you're giving me another aspect that I can manipulate in game against my players and have fun, bring another fun dynamic. Because, so you're going to have a special, you're not going to leave your wife behind, would you? And you can play into that. So, and
that would be a fun thing to play into, honestly.
Oh yeah,
right.
But I don't only want to do intimacy with my actual real world wife playing a character. Characters. I would not be interested in doing intimacy with somebody else.
No, but on the same point, if you're okay, for lack of a better, if they're having a relationship with each other, let's say they're boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, and they're in an inn, they say, okay, we're going to go to bed. Good night. They don't have to really get into the gory details or nitty gritty of what they're going to do. I mean, that really brings nothing to a game.
Right.
But it allows, by saying them people have a relationship, it allows the DM, or by default other players, because what happens if you have other players attack the wife or the husband? So lots of fun dynamics happening with that type of stuff.
But now, see, you're thinking of it, I hate to say this word, logically. But there are a handful of individuals that want to bring that into the game because they want to make a social stance. And their interest is not in furthering the game session or furthering the campaign. Their interest is making a social stance. So, I listen. It's well known that Frank Messer and myself are not the best of friends. All right, I will throw that out there. But we got along fairly well earlier on, and Frank, a number of years ago, probably close to, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe almost a decade, reached out to me. I still remember this because I was at the airport coming home from my first Game Hall Con, and reached out to me and said, you know what, your community on Facebook, Tenkar's Tavern, it's a great community. It's vibrant, but it's failing because you're allowing political conversations and social issues to disrupt what should be talking about gaming. And his suggestion was, I announced that it is a neutral ground, that we respect all perspectives, but we're focused on gaming. We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to talk social issues. Frank was fucking brilliant with that. I got to say, it was awesome. And the pushback I got from that initially from folks that you wouldn't necessarily expect, because maybe they didn't cause issues when it was, I guess weapons free. But once we checked the weapons at the door, everybody was peace knotted. Everybody had to respect each other. There were a handful on either side that rebelled for the sake of rebelling, because they wanted to make it a social issue. They wanted to make it a political issue, and they would just kind of like they got cleared out in like 6 months because they would like, oh, it doesn't apply to me. You know what? If you're at my game table, all right, we're not talking politics. Now, when I say that, I'm talking about a game table at a game store, game table at a convention. If
Yeah.
you're talking about your home game table with your friends that you hang out with, drink with, and known for years, you have your own community standards when it
Yeah.
comes to this kind of talk. Um, but honestly, when it comes to social media, nobody wants to hear your fucking opinion. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Nobody does. No, nobody wants to hear how Tenkar is going to vote in the presidential election. I will say this: I don't care how you vote, but if you are an American and have the right to vote, you are of age, and you can legally vote.
Get out there and vote.
Vote for whoever you believe will do the best job. Because if you complain after the election and you didn't vote, your complaints have no value because
Get
you
the government you deserve.
you know if you want to bitch about how your candidate lost, at least have thrown a vote into the mix. Don't Otherwise nobody wants to hear your shit.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
shut up or put up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only
Hey.
political advice I'm going to give is your vote, especially on local elections. Your vote has influence. And I know people complain if you're in a state like New York or California or Texas or Florida, depending on how you're voting, that your vote doesn't have much of an impact because, well, you know what? Maybe it doesn't have much of an impact on that top spot. But when it comes to your local elections, your vote is huge.
Oh,
So,
and it's like in Michigan. Michigan right now, we have many critical elections happening are going to be on the big ballot,
mhm.
and you got to look at the bigger picture. Like there's two Michigan Supreme Court judges being elected.
Okay, wow.
That's massive,
Yes.
And Michigan doesn't use an electoral college, neither does any other state. So you're right, state, especially state and local. I think your vote does matter.
Yeah.
And I even think presidentially, your vote
Oh,
does matter.
it does. But what I'm saying with it also means that listen, I know people go, oh well, it's not a presidential election year. I'm not going to vote. I only vote every 4 years. No, no, because your local elections are
Yep.
going to affect your daily life
Mhm.
a lot more than anything. The farther up the totem pole, the less likely it's going to have an immediate impact on you. But when you vote
Mhm.
for your local elections, you're voting for your community.
And something that's really interesting that happened actually yesterday in Michigan that you two probably don't realize is the Michigan Attorney General's office has arrested and charged 3 individuals for voting twice in the last election. And along with that, 2 poll workers. And they are charging them with huge felonies
They should.
for, yep, for voting twice. And Dana Nessel, our attorney general, even said that did the research and found out what party that they were part of. And of course, underneath it, it's like, oh, see, proven, 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 this type of stuff.
Right.
But bottom line is, she said something very interesting. She said that the election is the most sacred foundation of our democracy, the vote.
Yep.
And for those who are going to pervert it or twist it or attempt to bypass it, she said, we're going to hunt them. She said, we're going to hunt them down and we're going to put them in prison. And it's like, good. Good.
Hiatus in my years on social media, I have convinced perhaps less than 5 people to change their opinion.
Wow,
The
5?
anonymity- Yeah,
I'm
that's pretty good.
impressed.
That's a pretty good number. The
You're doing
anonymity of the internet prevents actual discussion by default on such subjects. And Cal, I'll just say Tenkar is incorrect about that voting statement, local versus federal. On your daily
Also,
life, yeah, no. Local is very influential, especially if you live in a small community. Listen, have you been paying attention to America's Supermayor out there in Illinois, who's all over
Dalton,
Dalton? You know, if you haven't
Tiffany
been
Henyard.
following that, oh my God,
Yep.
that local election's gone bad.
Go
That
go to YouTube and go and search Tiffany Henyard.
Vineyard. Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
She's running for a second second term.
That's a yeah.
I
Oh,
don't think she's going to make it. I think the FBI is going to be arresting her
they're
pretty
gonna
soon.
they're gonna snag her first.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But real quick regarding the comment about the vote, the local vote doesn't matter. One way I can prove it does, like what's happening right now, we have two people running for water commissioner, which makes the decision on the water rates, and in the water board, and we right now in where I live have very high water rates. And one of the people running are saying, wait a minute here, there's no reason to have this. We want to cut water rates by 30%. Because there's other ways we can make it up that's not going to affect every single citizen so tightly. So those type of things do matter.
Yeah.
Because they hit your pocketbook.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and it might be different depending on if you live in a big city like, say, Boston versus a small town in New Hampshire or here in Maine, you know, where you've got a smaller population. And when you've got a smaller population, your vote matters more. You know, if there's only 500 of you in that little village in New Hampshire voting, registered voters, and you say, it doesn't matter. It actually does. Your vote matters more than say like a Boston or New York, but still, it matters because I mean, damn, this water commissioner guy, the guy saying we're going to cut the rates by 30%. He's 30%. Got my vote. He's like, sign me up. I don't care what party. I want this guy. Anything to cut taxes and expenses. I'd be like all over that. I'm sorry, but yeah, I definitely agree. Local elections can be much more important, than the federal. Ultimately, you've got, here in Maine, you've got two centers of influence for the Democrats, which would be Augusta and Portland, Augusta and Bangor and Portland. But then the rest of Maine is like ardent Trump country. Like I went to my doctor's office and this guy has this big smokestack that they don't use. It's no longer used as a smokestack, but it's still attached to the building. And he painted this massive, Trump smokestack. And I was like, well, I guess I know what country I'm in right now. We're in Trump country.
Yeah.
Where the doctor's office is, because you can't remove that. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, that's like listen, I've had 4 cars. I've never put a bumper sticker on any of them.
Nope.
Because bumper stickers are like a tattoo. You're stuck with it until you change out your car. And I won't even put gaming. I will get the magnetic stickers and I'll put gaming related stuff on the back of my car, which will last until I get it to a car wash and forget to take them off. Because the car wash
takes them off
for you. But
Calvinoni says, FYI, we have slipped into talking politics. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
So why don't we get in? Talk about a little bit about Watsy, Wizards of the Coast, and Chris Perkins.
Oh yeah, there's a good one.
Now, Chris Perkins is he was the head of the development for the Dungeon Master's Guide, correct?
Right. He was a project manager for project lead. Sorry, for a lot of projects. But yeah, Dungeon Master's Guide is officially the last project where he's going to be lead on. And Chris Perkins has been with Watsy. I think he may have been with TSR actually back in the day.
He's been around a long time.
I think I remember him in the late 90s being with TSR Watsy, but
I
I'm
And
think
there's been
old.
no announcement either about him leaving the company, so he's still with the
Yeah.
company officially.
Officially,
I think
he
we
must
could
be
ask
the
David.
longest.
Darren
Yeah.
Drader about Chris Perkins for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's going to be the longest tenured after Mike Merles was let go.
And see, with me, it's kind of interesting because, to be associated in that position for so long, and he just abruptly announces it, and then, why? Is
Well,
it
yeah.
is this like trouble in paradise?
You know,
Yeah,
Perkins is
the
leaving before
Christmas sweep.
Yeah, there are a number of people who are leaving or have left. Um, actually, I personally know one, and he gave Watsi a 6 month, "Hey, I'm going to be leaving," warning. So he survived the recent purge, but I'm guessing he was involved with logistics on Watch's end, shipping, ordering, all that stuff. Well, they are going toward a digital swing, so it might be that you might have seen the writing on the wall and said, yeah,
See,
maybe
with
it's
me
time.
though, is the whole digital part is how is that going to affect game shops? All
Then
these game shops. That's why
Joe the lawyer
I think they're going to
put
still
out,
offer it. What's that,
you know,
Tom?
well, I said Joe the lawyer just did a video on calling out Watson. He goes, I don't normally do this, but they effing suck. I watched this whole video. I mean, it was,
He, yeah, it was good. Listen. It went up like a day and a half ago, or maybe it's 2 days now. He's got like 10,000 views on it.
Oh wow! Because when I watched it, it had like 6,500 views, but even then was still nice.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, shit.
Yeah, they're destroying. He's calling out Watsy for destroying the hobby. That they don't understand this whole digital AI DM is not going to get them what they need. They're destroying the hobby. The hobby is built on people saying, "Hey, come sit at my table and play this game." People introducing you to the game, and I got to say he's got some points despite all the expletives. Yeah, I would agree. Watsy is destroying the hobby, and it's going to haunt them. It's going to cause damage and loss of revenue for them that they don't foresee now, but it will come back to haunt them down the road.
I mean, as I did I did a follow up to Joe's video, and I really think that they are doing a pivot. And they're doing a pivot because they saw the revenue that was generated by Baldur's Gate 3, which they did very well on that, but it was licensed. In other words, they didn't do as well as they thought they should have done. Now, if it's developed in-house and it's published in-house, and I'm going to put dollars to donuts that the next Baldur's Gate in the series is going to be developed in-house by Watsy. They're not going to license.
Well, go take a look at for the last year, take a year and a half even. Look at their want ads.
Oh yeah,
they're all digital creator, programmer, programmer in Java, programmer in this. It's like, yeah.
So we got a few hints as to what the future held when Cynthia Williams, she said, "We're under monetized. Why is D&D as an IP, as a brand, under monetized?" Well, it's under monetized because only the DMs were spending significant money. Players were writing free. Well, if that was part of the monetization issue, well, moving people to the VTT makes everybody have to pay to play. All right. Now, I think part of the future of D&D is that future physical products are not going to be aimed as DM only. They're going to be aimed as things that the players are going to want to pick up in addition to the DM. Even if it's an adventure, it's going to have new classes, it's going to have new spells, it's going to be something that they want to ensure more of the gaming group picks up. They also feel AI is the future. Again, That was Chris Cox. I use AI on my gaming table. Everybody I know uses AI. AI is the future. They own the art. They own thousands of adventures they've already published in various places, so they could train an AI morally on their own IP, right? And generate adventures, maybe even generate a DM on demand, because MMOs, MMOs. When I used to play MMOs, like we played a lot of EverQuest 2 and Anarchy Online. It was we had a scheduled morning, like Sunday mornings at like 6 a.m. God help me, I don't know how I did it. But you also had the phone call. Hey, you free? You want to get on in 15 minutes and we'll go hunting for an hour? Well, you don't do that with D&D. But you could do that in D&D if the DM wasn't a necessary part. And we see D&D as a traditional pen and paper. They see D&D as an IP that has been under monetized, and how do we properly monetize it? I think I did this the other day, but here I got 2 coins. It's going to be a Venn diagram, and there's an overlap, and they don't care if this is the D&D players. They don't care if they lose half this coin or 2/3 of this coin as they transition to this larger coin of digital gamers, computer gamers.
Because this is how they can do it. Is because by eliminating the DM at the table and putting players on a VTT and having the DM become AI, number one, they can manipulate and they can take advantage of one very important thing that will make it very profitable, and that is they can bring in, you're in the middle of an adventure, you're a player, all of a sudden comes up on screen, bing, would you like to go ahead and purchase this?
A healing potion.
That's right. For only 50 cents or $1.99.
Yep.
And they know what will happen. People will be like, click, because you've already loaded your credit card or your debit card into their platform.
When EverQuest 2 was big, some of those microtransactions coming in where people were buying, new skins for their armor. It was real cool. It didn't make the armor any better. It just made it cool looking, and people,
They do it right. They do it right now, Tom. But they still do it, like with Call of Duty and all these other online sci-fi games. Right. Halo does it. You can buy skins for your rifle. You can buy, new rifles and such. And that's how they're gonna make money over selling a $50 book.
Right. It's going to be subscriptions and microtransactions.
Yep.
Now, here, think about, and Thaidas kind of touches on this because he's sustainable
now. I think people will do that. I think people will do that, but then they're going to be like, "There's no point to this," and they'll move on.
No, but these are again, you got to remember, these gamers that they're targeting are not the old school gamers.
We're not in their target market.
The target is gamers that have come into gaming from 2000 and later. Those that came in with the VTT are already half foot into the idea of not ever gaming at a physical table.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, the best thing that could happen for Hasbro is another pandemic. If you had that come up as their VTT launched, oh my God! I mean, that's where you'd invest your money, because that's where they're going to make their money. All right. They honestly, the microtransactions, and they don't mind you playing other VTTs, because if you're playing 5e, the best 5e experience is going to be on their VTT. If you're playing VTTs, and they're banking on that.
It'll be very easy. They will make it like all these other games, like Farmville. I don't play the game, but the concept of Farmville, as you guys probably all know, is you're on there. You can do things on the game, sure, but you need things, and to really get something going.
Right.
And it's the same thing like with I forget the name of the game. It's an online game where you build your world. something kingdoms or something. It's the
Uh,
same thing. You can build a small little village or town, but in order to really be where you can protect yourself and build it, you need this. That's only $1.99. Well, click that 6 or 7 times in one evening. And that's what
Yep.
they want you to do. Times that by those, even if it's only 2 or 3 microtransactions, times that by 200,000 gamers playing your game a day.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing that many of us fail to realize. We all think that they have to keep their current players or keep their current number of players to keep their profits up.
They
No,
don't.
they don't need that. They think that we are, if they cut almost every tabletop player out of the equation, they don't lose that much. If they get back half those players coming from the digital world of computer gaming, where they're used to microtransactions, you're used to paying a subscription. Roger makes a point. My
Yep.
daughter plays Roblox. It's full of microtransactions for skinning your character in the game. Players can make stuff and sell it. They get a cut. Guaranteed it's what happens in their VTT. Oh, yeah, and here's the other thing, too. When it comes to things like, wow, I need it. I want to run an adventure tonight. I have nothing prepared. I can buy a one of a kind adventure from Watsy for $1.99, and I can give it my parameters. I've got 6 players, all level 3, and
Yep.
I want something set in the cemetery with crypts and undead. And they'll go through their AI, again, built off of their moral code because they own it all, and it'll spit out a unique dungeon. I personally think when we get product, and this might not be next year or two, but definitely before the end of the decade, when you get new products from Watsy for D&D, if they are in print, they're going to be high-end collectibles. They're going to be faux leather covers. They're going to have the tassels. They're going to have the gold edging because they're going to be unique products because every other adventure is going to be somebody hitting a button, generate for 99 cents, $1.99, because they're going to have their AI set for it. Watsy is not going to go to AI until they're ready to be able to say, listen, we're going to go to AI, but we're using a moral AI. We own all the works that our AI is built upon, whether it is artwork, whether it is dungeon design, whether it's adventure design. We own it all. We're not scraping the internet. We're not stealing from anybody. I know we said we wouldn't use AI. We are using a moral AI.
Okay, let's real quick. Let's throw something here.
Yeah.
Now, I am not pro AI. Okay, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I write books. Yeah, I could go into AI and puke out product
Oh,
and
yeah.
change it to do, but I prefer making it myself. But the thing is, is ethical? Is that really ethical when they're
No.
pulling? I mean, because they're training their engines, yes, off of their product, stuff that they own, quote unquote.
Again,
But
Watsy's going to listen. Part of being a cop, part of being an investigator, is to know the argument you're going to get coming from the other side. And I already know how they are going to legitimize their AI. They've already said it essentially. Well, we can't use AI is not acceptable because it's scraping, it's stealing, and we can't steal.
True,
Oh, we
which
can't
is
steal
true.
sell our product. So they've already set the ground. I'm not saying from my perspective that it's correct morally or ethically, but they are going to make that argument. And you know what? One thing we all know: gamers, although they have deep pockets, are cheap when they can go. I could buy one new adventure for $25, or get 7 AI adventures for $14, $15.
Well, see,
Oh
that's
my
exactly what they're going to do. They're going to make it cheap. They're going to make
Yep.
it like $1.99, $2.49.
Yeah.
You know, and they're gonna make sure it's all it's all pretty and got bells and whistles. But Roger Rebez says something really interesting. He says, absolutely, this is the best move for Wizards of the Coast to make. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that with him because he's right.
Yeah.
Because as a business, okay, a VTT makes sense because printing books, you have to import those books. You have to store those books. You have to have personnel. You have to keep the warehouse climate controlled. There's a whole lot of things, and that's why I actually thought they were eventually going to go to POD themselves, like Amazon does. It would
Right.
have made sense. Why don't you just put a facility where you make your own D&D product? But they're doing like way on the other end, and it makes sense. I don't like it. I don't agree with it,
No.
but I can stand
Well,
back and say, smart
they're
move.
kind of using, drive-through to POD a bunch of old school D&D products on drive-through. So,
And they'll probably do that right there. They'll probably dump all their existing 5e crap onto there and let people POD it if they want.
Right. And now that brings up something very interesting about WotC. When you look for a 5e product actually published by WotC, there's very little up on drive-through. I'm not talking about the DM's Guild, but actually the only 5e product that's up on drive-through was actually written for the playtest version of the rules, D&D Next.
So far.
Right. Oh, I know. But now that's because they are still of the mindset of pirates. If we put out, Cauldron of the Bastard Unknown or whatever,
Mhm.
they're going to pirate it off of a PDF copy. Well, I got news for them. People are already doing that off of your D&D Beyond files.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
So obviously
And that's the
pirating
price of
is,
doing business.
yeah,
You know?
I don't know.
It's a tough subject because it's tough because the three guys on the screen right now we're all within a year and a half of each other age-wise.
Yep.
We're all very close in how long we've been gaming. We all tend to like older style D&D. And yeah, you know what? Maybe we are sitting on the front porch yelling at the kids on skateboards as they drive by. Maybe we are doing a little bit of that. But the reality of it is,
edition.
yeah. But the thing is in when you look at it in a business sense, Wizards of the Coast is a publicly, held company. They have a board of directors who reports to their shareholders. They make money, and the more money they can make, the more valuable they are. The more valuable they are, the better their shareholders, the more happy their shareholders are. They're not beholden to the gamer. They're beholden to their shareholders and their board.
Right.
And that's the key difference here. And that's the whole thing that people, I think, of our age, that
Right.
I think sometimes we miss focus on. Because am I a VTT guy? No. I signed up for Quest and a couple others just to check them out. Yeah, the dice rolling across the screen are cool and all that, but I'll stick with making my own adventures,
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not going to buy a potion. No, I'm not going to do this. I don't mind using a virtual tabletop in the virtual tabletop sense. Don and Eric and Tom all sitting together playing D&D together on a camera.
Right.
And because Tom doesn't trust Eric to tell him what the truth of his dice roll is, and I don't trust Tom to tell me the truth on his dice roll, and vice versa, we use the digital dice across the screen. That's all just good-natured fun among friends.
Right.
But as far as using an adventure and signing up and doing all that crap, not for me. Just not going to be, and I'm not going to do it.
Fukin makes a good point. Writers and artists will need to start demanding new contracts for such use, like previous actor strikes for residuals in streaming and video resales that were not foreseen under previous tech. Yeah, I know, and that's. I'm quite sure that when WotC bought rights from artists in the past, They bought all rights, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much what a company the size of WotC is going to do. They, so and the reality is when they bought all rights, when TSR got sold to WotC, there was a great purge, and that
Mhm.
purge included original artwork from a lot of these artists because they were just in filing cabinets, and
Yeah.
it was just
Well,
like, well,
also the no way AI is getting so good that you can't even tell if it's a real person or an AI person doing the talking or moving around to you.
yeah,
And Peter Dinklage, the dwarf from Game of Thrones,
right,
he made a real interesting thing a couple of weeks ago. He was interviewed by BBC TV, and the BBC, they were talking about AI being used, and they said, well, what is if they ever replace you with AI? He goes, what are they going to do? They still need me. He goes, so what they're going to do is instead of paying me 20 million a film, they're going to give me 10 million a film to use my image. I'll take that because I don't got to sweat and go spend 16 months out in the
right,
wilderness doing a movie.
yeah,
And see, that's what this is coming to. And what people don't realize is very soon, you at a table playing with your friends is just going to be one of those things people go, you do that? Because it's already becoming that.
yeah,
Well, I mean, what's the
And,
difference between an actor showing up to voice a character, it's a cartoon character in a movie, versus it's an AI character in the movie and they're just showing up to voice it and put their spin on it, and you're paying for the rights to use the guy's image because people are going to go, that guy. You know, I see that happening. Yeah. I get him saying, yeah, I'll take the 10 million instead of the 20 million. Less work.
sure.
I kind of get that. I just
But
come back to the Joe the lawyer's video about the destruction of the hobby.
yeah,
That and I still think about 10% of our school showed up for the D&D club. I mean, just think about that. 10% of the school, 29 kids. We have 285 students in the school, and 29 kids showed up for D&D. Now, I'm sure we've lost a few, but 10% of the school showed up to play D&D, and they're playing it with books and paper and pencils. And, I see the kid, in study hall, he's going over his character sheet. It's filled out with pencil. These are 7th, 8th graders.
mm-hmm.
What's the hobby going to be like for them?
Well, what they're going to do, Tom, is they're going to pick this up. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to log in and they're going to have a very visual, visceral experience with the bonus of, I can buy this. I can make my character look cooler. Oh, I want that armor. That armor is cool. And that's exactly what it is. And it's like,
well, yeah, that's
possible. I'll put it in a very self-degrading way. Us 3 old codgers here, us old gamers, are not going to like the new way D&D is evolving.
right.
I
don't, but it's just going to be the way it's going to be.
I mean, honestly,
I'll tell you what.
What?
If you've got 29, 30 kids having a classic D&D experience with pen and paper, pencil and paper, books, rolling dice, and it's because they can't have their phone in school, seeing with your phone out of your backpack, it'll be taken from you, or if you can't trust it, they've got little pockets on the wall for you to put it in your homeroom, and you pick it up at the end of the day. It's a very controlled thing. They're getting the same experience you and I got learning D&D, and I think that there's a possibility that they might like that if you get them out to a convention and they're like, this is cool. I think, we're talking, not all of them, but some of them are going to be the new wave of the OSR in, a couple of decades.
Yeah, sure. I agree fully with you on that. But the problem is, that 285 kids, of the 29 or so that are sitting down with you in a study hall playing D&D as part of a club, there's going to be another 100 that are going to log in and play the game if it becomes as popular and widespread and advertised, which they'll make sure it's everywhere.
I mean, yeah, there's a reason why. Was it Project Sigil? The
Yes.
City of Doors, the
Yep.
new VTT is as flashy as it is, because I still remember going back probably about 10 years ago. I'm playing on Roll20 on my computer with my friends, and my son, who was probably, I guess he was like around 21, 22 at the time. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I go, "Oh, I'm playing D&D." He goes, why aren't you playing EverQuest?" I go, "Well, different group of friends." And I go, "And I don't play EverQuest much anymore." He goes, "Yeah, but that's not graphical." Now, that's 10 years ago. That's 10 years ago. There's a reason why they're going for the Flash literally at WotC, because there's an expectation, again, that we're not the target. All right. And even if kids may come into the game by playing at the table, they've got computers at their house, they got video game consoles at home, and no kids don't go out and play anymore. Right? Johnny doesn't go over to I don't know, Mikey's house for the D&D session. They're getting on their computers. Even I get on and I play my VTT, Roll20 every other week with my friends from across the country. Would I love to have a local group? Sure, but I'd have to get to know the people. I know these people. They're just happy to be around the whole damn world. So I think that the new generation is going to be much more apt to leave physical gaming behind. And I'm not even talking VTT. At some point, Watchy is going to get into the world of VTTs, sorry, with your 3D, Facebook helmet on, your Quest 17 at that point, and you're going to have virtual reality D&D, and people are going to say that's the new D&D. That's the future. This is, again, what we are comfortable with. I got rooms full of gaming books around me. The new generation is very happy to have things in PDF or on
Yes.
D&D Beyond.
Because they bring a laptop or a tablet to their
Right.
gaming table.
We remember when they first showed off what became Project Sigil. And our generation, all mocked it. Because what they had was like 4 players and a GM sitting around on a giant boardroom, beautiful, like mahogany table, and everybody had an Alienware laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting around the table to play in D&D, when you're like, why are they at the same table? Shouldn't they be like just bringing out paper? Because the expectation with D&D's future is that it's going to be digital. It's going to be digital, even if everybody's in the same room at a convention. The idea is you need to bring your computer with you. You need to bring your laptop. How else are you going to have your character sheet in front of you? How else are you going to know what to do?
Well, there's a documentary on YouTube about it's a UK middle school. We're talking about, they call them year 11s. You know that, Tom. Year 11s. And what they did is, it was in 2017, and they were talking about having problems, how social media is causing problems with these kids.
Yep.
And they were talking about banning phones at the school, and the kids all did a big strike. They're uniformed, and what they did is they wore sneakers. And when you're in certain UK schools, Tom knows this, in certain UK schools, you don't wear sneakers with your uniform. And it's a big deal. And they did it out of protest. And, I have a daughter that just graduated this year. And the thing with Sarah is God, she's in nursing school. Yes. She works. Yes. But when she's not in nursing school and she's not working, she's got her nose in her phone. It's the same thing with my 22-year-old. She's a manager at a Starbucks. and you can't even sit at the dinner table, and they want to bring their phones and put them on their thighs just in case they get a message. And I'm like, so the phone, these handheld digital devices, as wonderful as they are, places like WotC looks at them and goes, "That's not a phone. That's a cash register for us. That's a bank for us." They know it.
Well, I want to respond to Thyatis's thing here. Kids is struggling to get kids to socialize properly. The D&D club, where it appears on the schedule at school, it's listed as social instruction. And so, they're using the D&D club because the kids are interacting. They're not on their phone; they're interacting over a table with each other, talking to each other. They're using it for social instruction in the school. So, I think that's great. I just was like, yeah, sure, I can help out with the D&D club. I'm happy to. Call it whatever you want. I call it fun. But so it was right on my schedule as social instruction. There's just no way around that. I mean, but we were actually funneling kids from the behavior program into it. So these are kids who are having a lot of problems, and they don't know how to. They really don't know how to interact, and so they're getting involved in this, and I thought it was awesome. I absolutely thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, because we all know what tabletop gaming brings to the table, but different from what we value and appreciate. Sure, it's the age difference. When I was 14 years old, I looked at my mom and dad and said, "What a bunch of lame asses! They don't know how to be cool and fun. I do," and that's kind of what we're getting into now. In fact, I remember at 14 years old playing D&D, and my mom would stand there. She was supportive, but she just didn't get what we got out of sitting at a table with pen and paper and fantasizing we're killing ogres, orcs, and dragons.
Yeah.
Well, I thought my parents were dumb until I turned 24 when I grew a brain.
And we all grow up.
So yeah.
But my mom used to say a famous line. Why are you guys sitting at the table? Why don't you guys go outside and play? Now we're sitting there telling our kids, why are you wanting to sit in your room on the phone? Why don't you get to the table?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. It's an evolutionary jump. You know what I mean?
Well, I took my kids to the wargaming club. My eldest called it. She called it the Little Man Store, which started out. She saw me painting a little man, and she's, "What are you doing, Dad? You playing with your little man?" Which was just, I was like, "Yes, I'm playing with my little man." You might as well own that. But I brought them to the wargaming club, introduced them to the wargaming. They ate it up. They absolutely loved it. And it's the same thing as RPG around a table. Is wargaming around a table. It's the same guy over here is a computer guy. This guy works at Dunkin' Donuts. Nobody cares. No politics or nothing. It's just having fun, and it's as much fun as the RPG hobby.
And Scott Mulder asks, is Wizard Tower going to create its own VTT someday? I don't see a future in creating a VTT. We're creating Zonk right now, and just doing a simplified online game like that has been a monumental task. Hats off to David Floor. But a VTT, the problem with the VTT, if I created one, I would make it very, very vanilla, and that is I would just have the ability to do what we're doing here. And actually, we all have access to a VTT.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can have up to 4 cameras on the program that I have. So can you, Eric and Tom?
Yeah.
And I could take another webcam, point it down to a dice box, and say, "Here's I'm going to roll the dice." And there'd be another box with the camera showing the dice rolls. It'd be very, very simple to do.
So,
You know.
yeah, and I've played RPGs through StreamYard, but not through Restream yet, and I like it. I thought I wouldn't like it because I was hardcore into miniatures, tactical. I like the terrain, and once I started doing this, I was like, well, this worked well. Theater of the mind. I go with this a little bit. And
Eric did a live 2 weeks ago where was it Joe the lawyer running it, where he had the little drawing and he was drawing on the thing and showing everybody where they were at. I thought that was pretty cool.
There's a lot of different ways. Like with Roll20, I'm a minimalist when I run things on Roll20. Like I don't use tokens. I use fog of war to reveal the map and pointer. So it goes blink, and you point on the screen. And again, theater of the mind. When Joe runs his 2E game with us, he's usually using, again, fog of war, revealing stuff. But he's also at times done it with dynamic lighting, so you can see where your torches are, which means you have to have tokens on this. Tokens to me, I never had miniatures very much as a kid. They were mostly to show marching order because you didn't have enough to put them out. You didn't have enough of the different types. So I was never good at using tokens. I'm always the asshole was like, Eric, move your damn token. You're like half a screen behind. I'm like, troubles.
Yeah. So I was always hardcore into coming from the wargaming aspect into the RPGs in the early 2000s. I was hardcore into the miniatures, hardcore into the terrain. I like the aesthetics of beautiful terrain, beautifully painted miniatures. And once I started doing Theater of the Mind, I'm like, I got a ton of miniatures here, not getting painted. And, I'm kind of like, it's, I do enjoy the Theater of the Mind these days, honestly.
Yeah,
I do. Because we grew up on it.
Yeah.
I think there's where it's at. I think it's because we grew up on it and because we're not exposed, probably because we don't game with people who use a VTT constantly, so to speak. Not the way WotC's planning it, at least.
Right.
Well, if I could log in, if I could, I did a game once in Skype, and I found it hard to use that platform at that time.
Right.
Back, 2007, 2008. But if you're running a VTT and I could get in there and it's just not complicated, it's easy to use, easy user interface, I wouldn't mind. If you were using a fog of war, I don't care. That's your thing. You're the game master. I will enjoy a little bit more visual. I'll start looking at it going, all right, my archer is going to hide behind this boulder and I'll have a clear field of fire. I'll be thinking in those terms based off of what you're showing me in the VTT. But as long as it's easy to use, I'm okay with that. And that's what you really need. And StreamYard was that. I think Restream will be even better.
Restream is pretty damn good. I'm surprised. But listen, you already know the future of Project Sigil when they are hinting that Transformers will be part of the VTT.
Yeah.
So Hasbro is so you know that's going to be an add-on. That's not it's like, hey, why don't you want to fight Optimus Prime? Well, for only $3.99, you can add him.
Well, I can remember back in the Yahoo chat days, going into Yahoo chat rooms where it was D&D game going on.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a DM and players. I mean, so I think the technology, virtual gaming has always been there. I just think WotC has the money to go ahead and make it, quote unquote, cool looking. And they're definitely targeting younger players.
Yeah. And, I do miss my original play-by-post game. Was was a Black Hand gang. There might be some Black Hand gang members out there, but it fell apart, and then Yahoo groups just evaporated, and I'm still nostalgic. That was such a fun game. I look forward to getting up Sunday morning and go reading the Turn Advance. And
let me ask a question of everybody, including everybody in chat. For everybody in chat, including us three here, who are against VTT, who are against this new modern edition of D&D, how many of you are interested in buying a new edition of D&D? And how many of you who are against a new edition just don't play it anyways? Like, don't play 5e. Maybe you pay 3.5 or 2e or 1e or Holmes or Basic, whatever. Correct me, but it's the same question I pose. Like I'm no longer a member of the group, but the OSR gaming group. When I say, of all you who are anti 5e, how many of you would be interested in playing a new modern version anyways? Because I already have all my books. I have everything I need to play D&D for 100 years if I could live that long. And I have everything at my disposal. And most of all, and I'll quote Tim Kask, I have the most important book to play D&D.
Your brain.
I don't know. I look at Shadow Dark and I'm like, oh, I didn't support the Kickstarter. I want to get in on the rule books. I like what I see with Shadow Dark. Dragon Slayer was another one that really caught my interest. I was looking to drop money on. I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to spend money. And because of working with the D&D club at school, which is 5e, I was reading the 5e Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide. And I'm like, this is not all bad in this rule book.
Because you as the DM don't have to implement every single thing that's in that rule book.
Right.
And see, that's where I tell people also, I mean, I've read the 5e, DMG, and PHB. And the thing is, some things are cool, some things are interesting. I can see where they're going with the rules, but there's a lot in there that I would, my own books, I would yellow highlight out and not use. And I would not allow players to use in my game that I DM. There's a lot of classes in the game that I just would not allow.
Right.
They're too powerful.
There's too many options that slow down the game, slow down combat. I'm looking for a faster combat. Personally, hence I like Moldvay Basic. I like AD&D. I don't want all this whole menu. I mean, Eric, you remember that Peanuts meets Cthulhu 5 game we played in?
It was a blast to play, but I didn't know half of what was on my character sheet.
Yeah, it was like 5 pages of character sheet that he printed off some online thing. It was just too much. You were like, I don't know what and Tammy would be like, what should I do? And I'm like, well, look at your character sheet. Well, it's 4 pages of her.
Kicked ass.
Oh, it was 8 pages. It was 8 pages.
We had a good time, yes. But afterwards, I was like, I don't like this game. I don't like 5e rules.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that it was an improvement over 3.5, which I hated because it was so damn slow. Hence I've gone back to
But I remember when 2e came out. And people going, oh God, they ruined D&D. Oh my God, with this. Oh geez, the D&D's destroyed. Well, and now 2e is one of the most popular editions out there besides 5e.
I came back to D&D when it was 3.5, and I tried 4, and now my decision to go backward to Moldvay Basic is not so much that bless God, I'm a Grognard and I'm going to die a Grognard with my, you can have my Moldvay Basic when you pry it from my cold dead hand.
There you go.
No, that's not it. It's that I've tried this other stuff and I was like, I don't enjoy this experience. I want faster combat. I don't want the game to bog down and to have a 3-hour 3.5 combat that just takes 3 hours at the kitchen table. To me, that sucks. I want stuff to move a little faster. And so I went looking for an edition that would move a little faster, work a little faster for me. And I'm like, that's why I'm Moldvay Basic. It's not for me being a grognard saying, this is what I started with. I'm going to die with it. No, I'm looking for a particular play style that appeals to me.
You like what you like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Goes back to my plumbing partner. He was Sicilian. I was trying to ask him about that red wine with red meat, white wine, and he's like, drink what the hell you like. And that is great advice. Play what the hell you like. And
but see, it's the same thing, though, I think, when you get into VTT. I mean, it's a rule that, you know what, I won't get into it. I won't sign up for it. I won't utilize, not like that. I'm not going to buy adventures and buy spell components, and I'm not going to do that. If will the average 14-year-old playing D&D eventually do it? I think so, absolutely, because that's what they're gearing. The mind's already geared to.
Right.
But it's going to be an argument age old. And 10 years from now, people are going to be arguing about other stuff. People are be going, you want to do away with the VTT and you want to put this into the game. It's the ebb and flow of gaming. D&D did this, has been doing this, and
sure,
we're now our generation's in the downslope, and the new generation is coming up. So, but you can do, Tom, and like we do at the local libraries, is you can sit there and do exactly what you did. You can still keep the old stuff alive with these kids and at least introduce them to it.
Yeah.
And leave it up to them if they want to move on to the newer stuff.
They enjoyed Star Frontiers when I brought it to Field Day. We had a Field Day and, massive 4-hour session of gaming. I ran Star Frontiers and at the end, best compliment, Mr. V, that was cool.
Yeah.
I was like, best compliment, I'll take it right there.
Eric, you look like you're getting a little antsy.
No. Just gotta adjust myself in my seat.
Oh, and we've been at this in almost an hour and a half. I mean, if you guys want a break, I'm fine with
that. And that's just the thing. When we do these vlog of many things, usually for me it's like my witching hour is an hour because I'm doing it on Thursday night and I got to pop out for the Discord. And usually what happens is I'm like, it's an hour already. So now I'm going, it's an hour and 20 plus already? How the hell did that happen? So
I like the format with the comments on the side. I mean, that's really awesome.
I think that is awesome. We could not do that with StreamYard. You can do that with replay. So quick if you want to know how to do this, folks, when you open up your chat on the right side of the page, in the upper left of your chat, there is the word overlay with a button next to it. And you just slide it on or off.
Oh, that's easy? That's easy?
It's that easy.
That's cool.
And really, again, I did the experiment yesterday with a longer than expected live stream. It was about 40 minutes. And I had the chat up like this, and I was able to converse with everybody in real time. So that was awesome. Like Shark, like Tenkar said, we are no longer the prime target audience. It's right.
Yep.
And by the way, I think with the chat up on the screen like this, the chat is more vibrant. That people are talking more. There's more chat happening because they can see it happening right in front of them.
Cross channel.
Yeah, they can have the.
So people might be in Tom's watching off Tabletop Tap Room. They can see it.
Yep.
So that also helps.
So
see Scott Mulder. Back me.
What did Scott say?
Moldov Base and Beck Me were my favorite additions.
The only reason to go to Beck Me is companion rules had all the stuff for building your castles, and I did like that.
Yeah, but Beck Me, I don't like Beck Me. I like Beck.
Beck.
Yeah. I guess once it's Masters and Immortal, I didn't own that set, but I did borrow it from a friend.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
crazy edition part.
I'm like, ooh, it kind of breaks down. Although I will say the rules cyclopedia, I would run that. I would be very happy to run rules cyclopedia. That was a great rewrite of Beck Me taking out most of the insanity and leaving in a really, really solid system that you don't have to piece together. Part of the issues with Beckme was that you had to piece it together.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got my basic work. All right, now basic is 1 to 3. Expert is 4 to 11. Now it's like, but rules compendium or rules encyclopedia. Sorry, put it all together. I mean, even in my AD&D 2E game, I was stealing stuff out of that book constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, and not every game actually benefits from going to like a 1 volume, because Buck Surdou's Gaslight RPG, it was all these little books, and then he came out with this big volume, all the little books put into one big volume, and I bought it at Historicon, and it was confusing, and I was like, just give me the little books, just give me the little books, I don't need this. It was just so. But I have the rules encyclopedia. It's a pretty good volume. I've not used it, but I just I located a PDF on Scribd or something like that, I think, and
they just cleaned everything up.
Yeah,
it really made sense.
Yeah, but how often do you game to those higher levels, anyways?
My average level, even all the years I've been gaming, 9th, 10th. Once you get to those, I'll be honest with you, once I get to about 9th or 10th level, I'm actually burned out. I want to go back. Yeah. And I want to start a new character.
3.5 was that for me, that we got to 20th level, and by the time we got there, I was like, oh man, stick a fork in me, I'm done. And we started new characters.
Joe's 2E campaign is a year and a half old this month. And we play pretty much twice a month. And my gnome priest just hit level 7. And I'm like, wow, this is the most powerful character I've played since the 90s.
And how long were you gaming?
A year and a half.
To get to level 7. That's how you play D&D.
Yes. And by the way, folks, that's with Joe giving demi-humans a 15% XP penalty because they're demi-humans.
I actually quit a game because the DM, this is back when I was in my 20s. I quit a game because the DM was too generous.
Okay.
I didn't like getting mad. Like you found a +4 longsword. Huh?
That's right. Huh?
I'm in a simple tomb killing, zombies.
Oh, Monty Hall. He was
Hall. That's exactly what he is. He was a huge Monty Hall gamer. Oh, you found 15 diamonds.
Yeah.
I'm a level 7 priest. I still don't have magical armor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not one piece of magical protection.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was irritated with the DM in a 3.5 game. I had a character concept of a fighter, and I said, I want him to be like a Roman soldier. He pulls out his sword, and he just goes to town with the sword, but he's got that javelin, the pilum that the Roman soldiers would throw. So he'd throw the javelin, and then he'd charge into combat as a tank. And they were like, no, you got to have a bow. I says, that's not my character concept. So then, lo and behold, like about the 3rd adventure, was the Spear of Returning shows up. Oh, that's for you, Tom. And I'm like, you guys suck. You guys suck. Because they wanted me to have that constant, range weapon of a bow.
Right.
And I just refused to do it because that was not my character concept. And I was so irritated over that. That one magic item irritated me beyond all measure.
And Thyatis, I probably would. I love cursed magical items.
I think 10% of all magical items need to be cursed. But I did a video.
Tenkar, 2 is under enough vilified, however.
Listen, 2E was a great system until you got the splat books. It's coming from a 2E DM who had spoken with people who, like Steve Winter, who actually, I guess maybe he's the longest tenured. He was part of the 2E guys. He's still at WotC. And Steve Winter told us flat out that after the first, I don't know, 3 or 4 splat books, the complete books, there was no more playtesting. There was no time to play test. So they didn't play test. And that's why the splat books for all the kits broke down. If you leave the kits out, you've got a much better game. And no +1 cod piece. God damn it.
Yeah, I just think I like a more slower paced game. I don't mind having to fight for what I get.
Right.
I think that's part of the appeal, and that's why I'm such a fan of the level for me. The sweet spot levels for me is right around level 4 to 7. That's my sweet spot level area, because you're just coming into things, you're just getting things really organized, and I just like that level at range.
If you guys follow Professor Dungeon Master at all, he's got that one group that has been gaming together for decades, and their characters are all stalled out at level 7. They really don't advance, but they still come together and have fun. He's not interested in playing level 14. The characters kind of just stay, in that one range at level 7, and and I'm thinking about that going, that's really weird, but clearly these people enjoy having fun together. And, I don't know. I've not had that experience, but I'm thinking like there might be something to it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Nick, this is actually a very wide-ranging episode of the Vlog of Many Things / the Random Party / rescheduled.
And you heard it here. The new magic item coming out at Wizard Tower Games is the +1 cod piece.
That's right. +1 cod piece. We'll put that in our next module. Good idea.
And there'll be STL files for those that want one. Just don't wear it. Just don't wear it. I'm just saying. It only comes in extra small.
That's right.
It only ships to one state in the country. I'm not going to say which one, but
definitely have to be extra small to be shipped to that guy's house.
Extra small.
That would be the -1 cursed cod.
The -1. That's right.
You can impress
and
all the guys.
And the curse would be is you will never own a museum.
Oh.
A little salty close to the
That's a blow to the cod piece. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. Oh.
All right, guys.
Gentlemen.
It's been a good talk.
It's been real.
Good morning, Scale Forge. You came at the end. We're already wrapped.
Yes.
You're gonna have to watch the replay.
It's gonna be early morning there in the Netherlands. Don't you ever go to bed, Brooklyn? Jeez. But well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you everybody for all your comments and putting up with our earlier topic. Yeah, Thaddeus, exactly. And we're going to be on next week, normal time, normal place, normal channel. Eric, thank you for hosting this.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Definitely my pleasure. 3:36 over. You're on the wrong side of the pond. That's all I'll tell you. No Gamers Health tomorrow night. Rich and I will be gaming instead of doing Gamers Health. Gamers Health will be Sunday at 8 p.m. Okay? Just let you all know. So,
yep, and please, everybody, go through the man. Thank you for reminding us. Please hit a like and subscribe on the respectable channel that you are watching.
Everybody's channel, come on.
Yep, and help support us all, because you won't get 3 good-looking guys like us, unless we can get our channels up and moving.
I shaved for one certain commenter who didn't show up tonight, keeps on going every time. I like the beard; it looks distinguished. And I'm like, you know what? So I actually shaved, and they didn't show up. So I'll have to make fun of them.
Too bad.
Eric, you're just a sexy gamer. Just get over it, okay?
What can I say? I gotta. Actually, my wife was nice enough not to complain about the beard, but I knew the look.